The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop onto this project page and start a new project. Barksoft is a company that makes clones of popular software for mobiles, but it is focused entirely on dogs and dog owners. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to import some documents. You can import from OneDrive, but for this, we're just going to go right from my computer. So the first thing that you'll notice here is that I'm importing real documents. These aren't like funky, weird, prepared things. These are real Word documents. I've got a Markdown file in here and an Excel. We'll be able to check them out in just a second. And they just all get uploaded directly and they live inside of the .env folder here. Okay, so let's go take a look. So we've got one Excel file here, a Jira export. We've got an old one-pager for Bark B&B, a former product, a software design document, PR FAQ, we're gonna come back to that, some InfoSec guidance, and weekly status update Markdown. So let's take a look at this PR FAQ. In this scenario, I'm representing a PM who works at this company, Barksoft, and I've spent some weeks writing this PR FAQ, an Amazon-style document for Dugber, a new clone of Uber for dogs that I'm proposing that Barksoft go and build. And in this scenario, I've already had this reviewed by two of my real-world stakeholders, designer Alice and engineer Mike. And they've put some comments right here into the document. You can see that they've transmitted directly. These are the real documents, the real comments that were created by these people in Word. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go detect stakeholders. And what this is going to do is it's going to go and create a stakeholder profile for each of these people that have put in the comments. So Dotted is basically going to go and look through the document, find all the comments, do an analysis on them, what they've written, what they care about, the things that they've focused, anything else that we can find out about them. And it's going to create this very rich and sophisticated stakeholder profile. So we've got one for designer Alice and one for engineer Mike. So you can see we've got a DISC assessment, so that's psychological profile. We use this for figuring out how to interact with this person and how they would talk. We have a synthetic background for them and an approach to key concerns. All of this adds richness. And then my personal favorite part is right here, we have the key questions, what this person does, like ask on a loop. This is basically the operating system of this person. Now this may seem flat. This isn't exposing everything that we do, just the parts that are visible to you. And if this doesn't seem accurate, if we don't get this right, of course you can come up here and edit this. You can also create these stakeholders from scratch manually with AI assistance in other ways, but for right now, this is good enough. Let's pop back to Dugber PR FAQ. So let's say in this scenario, the feedback that I got as these comments is not the only feedback, but I also got feedback from my manager that, oh, hey, Eric, the PR FAQ format is actually not the one that we use here at Barksoft. We prefer this one-pager format. So let me send you over this old one-pager for Bark B&B, a product that was successfully built here at Barksoft. You can see it's pretty simple, very straightforward. It would be obnoxious for me to have to rewrite this document. So I'll come up here and I'll click on this button, use as template. We'll just say Dugber one-pager, and we'll choose the Dugber PR FAQ, no special instructions. So what's going on here is that Dotted is going to go into this one pager and it's going to understand everything about it. It's going to figure out what the sections are. It's going to figure out if there's any tables, what the level of detail is, what the intent behind this document is. It's going to do some very detailed analysis of what this document's purpose is. Then it's going to go look at our Dugber PR FAQ and it's going to create a new document for us that uses the format of the one pager and the information from the PR FAQ. And if you're a PM, you know that this is super useful because oftentimes you'll have the same information and you're asked to transform it, or you have a specific format for a one pager, a PRD, a 131, right? All these different sort of formats that are flashing around in our offices these days. And Dotted can just go and use any of them. We don't have a special focus on PRDs. We don't have a special focus on one pagers. These are just common examples, but you can do this with anything. I'm actually using this in my daily life, my weekly life, to generate my weekly release notes by pulling information into Dotted from GitHub and Jira, and then pushing it through a template that I have. So let's see, it should be done here, and poof, out pops the Dugber one-pager. And you can see we got exactly the right format, just like the other one. Same table, same headers, different information. Perfect. You'll also notice that when I'm clicking on these buttons, what's actually happening is that we're just sending a prompt down here into chat. All of these actions that I'm taking via this UI, you can also accomplish by chatting interactively. Some people prefer that. You can get a certain extra richness from that, right? You can build up a dialogue with the agent and then ask it to go and execute one of these things. Whichever one of these ways that works for you, you can do. So now that we're here, the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to request AI feedback. And for the sake of speed, I'm just going to get it from Engineer Mike. But what this is going to do is it's going to use that profile that we created earlier, and it's going to have our virtual stakeholder, our virtual representation of our real stakeholder, Mike, and it's going to give us comments directly in this document. And these are real comments. If we went and we clicked on the download button right here, we would end up downloading a Word document back out of Dotted that had these comments in it that you would see anyplace else. So this is still a Word document here. And the feedback that we're going to get is going to be specific to Mike. So let's take a look and see what Mike said to us, virtual Mike. Okay, this feature introduces significant technical and end compliance overhead. Okay, a detailed architecture plan is required, specifying, yep, that's pretty good feedback. Let's see what this says. The liability for solo pet trips is high and requires, yeah, I think that's good feedback too. Let's see what this says. The development plan needs to include a detail. Yeah, all good feedback. So one of the things that's interesting about Dotted is that the way you interact with it is as much like interacting with another PM or a person who works for you as possible. So we could come down here and put in feedback directly here, say, hey, we want you to go do something. But the easier way to do it is to just come in the document itself and put in an instruction. So just like Engineer Mike put in some stuff, I'm going to say, make this headline snappier. Okay, and I could put in feedback like that anywhere here. I could select this table, put in a comment or anything else. And essentially, what's going to happen is that when I come up here and I hit revise, Dotted is going to go and it's going to look through this document. It's going to find all of those comments, and it's going to treat each one of them as a prompt. Now, we could have done this on our original document, the Dugber PR FAQ, and we could have used Dotted to just automatically address the comments that came in from our real world stakeholders. And if there was enough context in these other documents to answer those questions, Dotted would do it. And in many cases, if it doesn't have that correct context, Dotted will reject it and leave the comment in and instead tell you why it can't make the change. Now, here's one thing that's really amazing about working with Dotted. You know, when you work with an AI and you hand it some big chunk of something and you get it in a pretty good place, you sort of start to get to be less and less comfortable saying, hey, go make changes. Because you never know what kind of changes it's going to make, and you can't control the changes that it makes easily. So you're gonna have saving copies over and over again. With Dotted, you don't have to worry about that because any of the changes that we make come in the format of these diffs. So you get a red-green, it shows you exactly all of the things that it changed, right? And in this case, we can say, look, it did fix that title, it made it snappier, and it went through and it addressed the concerns that were put in by Virtual Mike. Great. If I wanted to, I could come in here and I could accept these chunk by chunk, but I'm just going to accept the whole thing. Boom. Great. And this is a really interesting capability too. That's something that we've just started working on. It's a little bit experimental. We can actually come right here and hit Create Proto. And so what this is going to do is it's going to ask Dotted to go and generate an HTML one-page document that's going to contain a clickable prototype of whatever is described here in this one-pager. Now, this is not intended to be something that you're going to go out and use necessarily to ship this product. You can use it for building basic kinds of code. It is not really like a vibe coding tool. The intent is to put in the hands of a planning person, a product manager, something that they can use to communicate visually or explore visually a thing that they are working on. So this is sort of like an AI-powered, even faster way to do the kind of work that you might be used to doing on a whiteboard or on a tablet or in like a sketching tool, an AI sketching tool. And what's really cool about this is that you can actually go either way. You can come down here and chat, and you can ask Dotted to make you a prototype of something and iterate on it, get feedback on that from your stakeholders, get it into a place that you like, and then say, I want you to take this and go and write a PRD from it. Or you can use a PRD, use that to generate a prototype, then go and make changes on that. And once you get it into a place that you like, say, take this PRD and go and use it to update take this prototype and go and use that to update the PRD. You can work with this back and forth, however makes sense to you. You can export it and share it. You can share it directly via a link. There's a lot of capabilities that we're not going to explore here in this first demo. While it's finishing that up, looks like it just wrapped it up actually. So we'll come back to that in just a second, but I just want to show that if we did want to, we can just download this one pager right here, and it's going to pop out as a Word document. Let's go take a look at that prototype. All right, so we got right out of our one pager this whole visual exploration of what Dugber might look like. And it's pretty interesting. It looks like it really made us a landing page here. We could probably click in deeper here, but for the sake of just a really quick sketch and a really quick demo, that's it. That's what we've got for you for today. There's a lot of other stuff that I'll be showing other videos of later. We have MCP integration. We have scheduled jobs that are coming, just tons and tons of other stuff that isn't gonna fit today. So come back soon and go check out Dotted. You can join right now, trydotted.com. Thanks so much.